Bright Minds, the podcast from the John Adams Institute, is brought to you by the members of the John Adams. Why not become a member yourself, or even better, a patron, and enjoy all the extras and benefits? Find out more at john-adams.nl, john-adams.nl, and click on Become a Member. From Amsterdam, this is Bright Minds, the podcast from the John Adams Institute, a treasure trove of the best and the brightest of American thinking. And reading from her book, A Mercy, back in 2009, this is Toni Morrison.
There, standing among carriage boxes and a spinning wheel, they tell me to take off my clothes, to show them my teeth, my tongue. They frown at the candle burn on my palm, the one you kissed to cool. They look under my arms, between my legs. Naked under their examination, I watch for what is in their eyes.
The pathos and vulnerability at the center of Toni Morrison's many characters was just one of the many reasons she was one of the 20th century's most celebrated writers internationally. She even won a Nobel Prize in Literature in 1989. Toni Morrison's magical realism and portrayal of the African-American struggle meant, until recently, that her books were a staple of school libraries all over the United States. Strange then, or perhaps entirely predictable, that they should be removed from, among others, Virginia public school libraries for being too controversial. A few things about this night in 2009. First of all, she was interviewed by the Dutch writer and interviewer Bas Heijnen. Barack Obama was early in his first term, and it's fascinating to hear just how much more optimistic the tone was in terms of race relations back then. And finally, the sound quality of the original audio was not great. I cleaned it up, but you can hear its imperfections. And in my opinion, it's totally worth it to hear this wonderfully candid interview and reading. Bas Heijnen started his interview by asking her about A Mercy, and it was written about a time when both white indentured servants and black slaves still worked alongside each other on the plantations.
When did it start to become law? When did it begin to be profitable and to enhance the power of the establishment that poor indentured whites despised black slaves? That had to be institutional. Literacy was born like that. So I'm looking for those places that are earlier than the national story. You know, we knew more about 1776, you know, Pilgrims, Indians, but what was before that? Where it was ad hoc, it was in flux. Everybody was there, taking land, saying this is mine, speech empire, pretending to earth, and everyone was there, and claiming and reclaiming and fighting over, etc. So it was a very interesting, volatile time. And it was rough. The resources were incredible. But I could not see it then. You know, I didn't want to describe things that weren't there. So I had to do a little bit of research that really was not the history of that was. Relied some things, be quiet about things. So when I found that anthropologists and work, botanist and work, people who examine ships and vessels, they do all these birds, all the information was available, so that I would actually, in the beginning, feel comfortable with that. And then, you know, finally, reflect and execute what I thought were some, you know, very characteristic things about the American character and one of the stories that the Americans tell often. The past is bad, the future is bad, always the risks it. We can do it alone. Lonely here. It's not just, and those things were there, these people were running from something, in their lives.
It's very hard to it's very old dark hospital. I mean, hospital the patient is wonderful, but the human lives are awful terrible things.
And the courage and endurance and the brave friends together, they know that, someone is in a direction, anything like that, whatever it is. And, really so that quality, something like iron characters, very much what we managed to say that family dynamics and they understand it.
We haven't read a book about the Avatar, Science and Peace, his life, and account.
So there are women who work in the services to go and help. And most of the time, when these buildings council, it's Jackson came and helped with kids and he had lunch. He'd say something and just throw it away. So it's just a small box, it's just everybody is vulnerable to that. She basically threw it and she says,
and you said some very interesting before you started reading that about racism in the central character you would say is the girl to goes out on her own to actually clear instance like all these ranking or ranking statement. He's very much involved in that. And you can see why. But she's central. In the passage you read, you see the example, and people around she listens, and they look upon her, and they're kind of indifferent, you would say. And you said that racism was not the kind of.
Racism, the way we understand it, it's a religious. This 2 years before Salem, which was very much in there. And clerics had to perform planets if you were going on. How do you know something happened? Clouds were up there, or something. And when I really looked about witchcraft, in the States as well as in Europe, there are elements of 3 breaths, or something like that. Just things that do not belong to the species, like do that's what it's like. But when they're examining her, they're examining something. So they're checking her out, not so we're going to look at her and checking her out carefully to see whether or not she belongs to the world of the demons. And they find things in the power. The interesting thing is, for me, one of the interesting things is that when that psychologically, when that becomes overburdened and protected, but the other thing is that they came there to figure out this growth of class God was rich, and they had to expect when they saw something more.
This is carried forward from what you would call typical Mormon character. That's everything inside is typical Mormon character. I don't see it for it, so this makes it kind of, it makes it a little bit of a
I found her voice soccer around the, universe. And so, really, any conflict, because he's stuck abandoned all over the world. So that anyone who pursues a little bit of kindness is happy. So then we should also love this relationship with this lesson. It's like, it's just literally, he's bringing out all into you, and there's nothing outside of that. So, you get exposed to something else. She writes a story, and the process of acting writing is a process of evolution for her, and she changes from this forlorn girl who needs everything to something close to that helpful. But I don't think that everybody anymore. Arrive someplace. So, and this is knowledge, someplace.
It's emotional, it's good. I think maybe clear from the book, but there is a kind of natural pause. Even if you don't have to realize it at all, because they're all alone again, the two as a relationship stays together. But there is a kind of natural pause.
Even the widow, presumably she inherits the farmer, that doesn't need to be much, she has to buy herself. Somebody's going to marry her, or she knows that. And she needs to protect it, so she joins the church, who starts to religious lives for protection. And the others, the servants and the slaves, they say, figure it out. What is it going to do, what is it going to what to do. And I say that it's all extremely complicated. So they're having a young girl, two young girls, or village one, survive under duress like that. It's just more compelling than all the stage. The two religious servants who live down the road, you have to worry about that. They didn't really I found things in campus, but they didn't have to take a direction. They came to the learn language before I concentrated on them. And most of the stories in that area, there are not the ones that we did at that time, those are real stories. Scholar, she's like a saint. She's not a woman. So I was just trying to make it later. It was in those days.
I would say that anonymously, somehow, a lot of the themes are recognized in the kind of negative form of this social. It's a very simple, not simple typical as a kind of society which is not formed, but yet it's a kind of people are not seem more negative in a sense. It's that overall thing
raw, pure. I before they get all the process civilization everything sort of imposed. They don't have many resources except themselves. And I'm, as I said, interested in who thrives, who doesn't, and why, under areas of the West. I've always been interested in what happens if we don't have the safety yet. What happens if we're prepared for that? What happens if, we lose the best framework? It's a requirement that you know place that's not the case. You know, you learn something. So it sounds really like what you're writing and remove that.
Well, it is. But you could also say that for your was often associated with people based in slavery, and that also sounds how I actually know how I'm not. But to go back to your art design, comes from America. Of course, well, it's clear that they offer you not go a long way, but America also has seems to have gone a long way. It's a perception that, and I have to say it over. Recent happenings in the United States. It's a really something, it's really also a crucial thing, the election of Obama. Or is it just a small step in a much larger process? We see that way.
I think the election was crucial. Partly because of the race, but for me, I mean, my choice, I didn't feel as though I had the luxury to vote on the lines of gender roles. And the country needs something that I know I would never vote for. So it wasn't about that for me. It was like who looked like or appeared to be stable, manageable, particularly smart, and you know, have an organization. That's what I was looking for. Now, I was not alone because there were many people who felt something about them very granted people. And that was fun. You know, young people don't vote. And they did. And encouraging that kind of deep political engagement among so many people was extremely important. And I always thought, that the opposition Republicans mantra is always their vote. And they're always accusing somebody of really bad or wrong or too much or you know, the whole issue of civil rights movements, the right to vote. I mean, you kill people to stop that. It's very seriously bloody. So now, people can vote, and are now finally interested in it, so it's a whole new thing. And, you know, that was extremely exciting about the election. And the consequences of it, you know, we all see. But I think the expectations are so high. I mean, really, it's unbelievable. And I'm worried a little bit about all that excitement and all that engagement and all that fundraising, planning. And now we've done it to resist that. And what? You know, the engagement can stop. And you can't let that happen. This is not able. Yes, it's over. You're not going to need anymore. So if it's to be success, it has to be pretty much at the relevant pitch of people who critique him, as well as support him in large numbers. But what you're asking is a kind of cultural question about how things change racially in the United States. And I'm aware of a couple of things. One is called tense. Which is the racism was not in the United States. It's narrow, small, but it's very much there. And at the same time, I'm aware of high expectations. And the third thing is that I teach, the first thing is students at this time. interesting that realism is like all sport. It's all right. What you're talking about. It's not somewhere somewhere else. So they, it's also like the discourse, the old discourse anymore. And that's what I
the native thing we know to teach that the movement and the word realism itself somehow as most people are in school, they are very well, related.
kind of reminds me about it. I know that the series was needed. And you have to read about because they do, they're not just being themselves. And that's not a happy prospect. Take that thing away, and do that. Slow down.
Sorry.
And so that's just sort of like a little virus. So on. But I understand the question, which is that another erasure? And my view is that you forget things like that. You just say it and freeze it and assume that's all that it is. I need to remember the past, know it, think from what's useful, and move on. It isn't a question of denial. You have ways outside. Somebody today, journalist, I think that I quote regularly, anybody who's running because for me it's about Fannie Lou Hamer who's running a movement to have some taken out by police. And you need to act on those things. So I go because of her. Like neighbors are going loose. I'm not saying we're going now. And it's nice to have somebody that you really want to. Again, I'm doing it, they were all for us. But there is, it's, I don't know, it's sort of changing a little bit. I know this generation that a big generation for the first time in the country, and the 80s come out, it's different. And not all want to go to Wall Street. They're all great. For me, it's like, I do feel.
One thing you said, I'm not casting blame. I'm just trying to look at something without blinking and see what it was like, or what it been like, and how that has something to do with the way we live now. Novels are always inquiries to me.
It's true. Say a book like this, or even something like another, which is sort of this historical anecdote. So the big deal is she chose to kill a traitor. And I heard the red side is now already useful. So you want to carry some of the crew or leaders. But in doing so, I couldn't just, I had to really figure out what that felt like. That's kind of the for I to hold my own time. What circumstances that I imagine. And I say, what they were. And they were so ambiguous. I didn't know that she's right, or she doesn't have a right to do that. So that was a dilemma, and that's when, for purposes of solution to the question, I learned the only person I felt who could judge her, and that was a dead girl. She's the one who could say, mom was not correct. But we do know about that. I mean, you know, she would challenge her and lead her at the same time. That was that possibility, but that's what I meant about being like, you know, covered up. I'm aware, for example, of slave narratives that they were and they were running for the liberties, you know, so the books were honest, they left out something because if you want to disturb, graphic, you know, for music. And so I want to look at that, see what we're talking about. In order to correct.
As I was speaking to Nobel, I looked into investigate kind of more individuals and situations to you, but I'm still interested in the novel as a form to
Yes.
okay.
So for me, I know it's kind of very inside or small. This is what I know, even when I try to write something fictional and short, you know, photos like this and concentrate things. And one of the else is something else. I'm always moving areas and alleys and walls, so that's just, it's the way my mind works when I'm involved in life. And I don't see it's interesting. I wanted to. In all those years that I taught literature and institutes, you know, I 6 of those students came out to college. And I believe the practice of is as important as the result. Learning how to do this. When I teach this, I'm not ready. I'm not to take it, and that's valuable. Living on itself. And it's in that. It hasn't been a long time. When I'm watching this time, what are the writer memoirs, histories, and exposés, how it was when I used to be my childhood. I know it's as though when you're like, you don't know nothing. You can imagine. But that's really when I'm approaching the novels are. They're good, but it's the smallest stuff. It's what makes memories my approach.
What's the day you know something, you do it very well, and you know universities, you know students, does it make you as a principal?
It's challenging in many ways. It's challenging in other books. I mean, I talk them, I write them, I edit them. And that's, you know, I don't see. I don't
Are you working on one book? I would ask you about it, because I know like, oh, we did you think,
I don't have it, but I'll tell you what I'm interested in. Which is a theory that is produced very tangled and very thick and rich in the United States. One of them has statistics. And so what's going on there is it's ritual stuff. You know, like just ritual, that's all it says in the 60s and so on. But then in addition to that, there's more. Police action. And then there was this other thing in the 50s that was really immense, which was McCarthyism and anti-communism. And you know, that was really scary for artists. And there was so much going on, given that I'm just So it would function. But those relatively new tend to draw and
Toni Morrison, as interviewed by Boss Heine. I thought we'd end this show with some of the reading she did from her book, A Mercy. A Mercy is the kind of poetic but hard-hitting novel of colonial America that so challenges the prevailing ideas of America's history that it has become part of what we call the culture war. Now, in the story, a young female slave is sent off to get medicine for her ailing mistress, and she's given shelter by a white mother and her daughter, but quickly discovers the daughter is accused of witchcraft. And one more note, as you can hear in her voice, the fragility of the story mirrors somehow the fragility of her health that evening. And somehow it makes the reading all the more powerful. Here's Toni Morrison.
I step into the room. Standing there are a man, 3 women, and a little girl who reminds me of myself when my mother sends me away. I'm thinking how sweet she seems when she screams and hides behind the skirts of one of the women. Then each visitor turns to look at me. The women gasp. The man's walking stick clatters to the floor, causing the remaining hen to squawk and flutter. He retrieves his stick, points it at me, saying, "Who be this?" One of the women covers her eyes, saying, "God help us." The little girl wails and rocks back and forth. The widow waves both hands, saying she's a guest, seeking shelter from the night. We accept her. How could we not? And feed her. Which night? The man asks. This one passed, she answers. One woman speaks, saying, I've never seen any human this black. I have, says another. This one is as black as others I've seen. She is African much more, says another. Just look at this child, says the first woman. She points to the little girl shaking and moaning by her side. Hear her, hear her. It is true, says another. The black man is among us, and this is his minion. The little girl is inconsolable. The woman whose skirts she clings to takes her outside, where she is quickly quiet. I'm not understanding anything, except that I am in danger, as the dog's head shows, and mistress is my only defense. I shout, wait. I shout, please, sir. I think they have shock that I can talk. Let me show you my letter, I say quieter. It proves I'm nobody's minion but my mistress. As fast as I can, I remove my boot and roll down my stocking. The women stretch their mouths. The man looks away and then slowly back. I pull out mistress' letter and offer it, but no one will touch it. The man orders me to place it on the table, but he is afraid to break the seal. He tells the widow to do it. She picks at the wax with her fingernails. When it falls away, she unfolds the paper. It is too thick to stay flat by itself. Everyone, including daughter Jane, who rises from her bed, stares at the markings upside down, and it is clear only the man is lettered. Holding the tip of his walking stick down on the paper, he turns it right side up and holds it there as if the letter can fly away or turn into ashes without flame before his eyes. He leans low and examines it closely. Then he picks it up and reads aloud. The signatory of this letter, Mistress Rebecca Vart of Milton, vouches for the female person into whose hands it has been placed. She is owned by me and can be known by a burn mark in the palm of her left hand. Allow her the courtesy of safe passage and witherall she may need to complete her errand. Our life, my life on this earth, depends on her speedy return. Signed, Rebecca Vark, Mistress, Milton, 18 May, 1690. Other than a small sound from daughter Jane, all is quiet. The man looks at me, looks again at the letter, back at me, back at the letter, again at me, once more at the letter. You see, says the widow. He ignores her and turns to two women, whispering to them. They point me to a door that opens onto a storeroom, and there, standing among carriage boxes and a spinning wheel, they tell me to take off my clothes. Without touching, they tell me what to do. To show them my teeth, my tongue. They frown at the candle burn on my palm, the one you kissed to cool. They look under my arms, between my legs. They circle me, lean down to inspect my feet. Naked under their examination, I watch for what is in their eyes. No hate is there, or scare, or disgust, but they are looking at me, my body across distances without recognition. Swine look at me with more connection when they raise their heads from the trough. The women look away from my eyes the way you say I am to do with the bears, so they will not come close to love and play. Finally, they tell me to dress and leave the room, shutting the door behind them. I put on my clothes. I hear the quarreling. The little girl is back, not sobbing now, but saying, it scares me. It scares me. A woman's voice asks, would Satan write a letter? Lucifer is all deceit and trickery, says another. But a woman's life is at stake, says the widow. Who will the Lord punish then? The man's voice booms. We will relay this to the others, he says. We will study on it, consult, and pray, and return with our answer. It is not clear, it seems, whether or no I am the black man's minion.
The late, great Toni Morrison reading for an Amsterdam audience back in 2009. Did you know that you can go to our website, john-adams.nl/videos, where there is a link to the video of this extraordinary event, and there's also a link to the video in the show notes of this podcast. We also have a newsletter. You can sign up for a veritable treasure trove of great American thinkers and speakers at john-adams.nl. And while you're there, why not become a member of the John Adams? Not only will you support what we do here at the podcast, but you will get a discount to future live events. And in the meantime, you should go to wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review of this program. This will help get the word out, and we can keep on sharing the very best of American thinkers in Europe with you, free of charge. That's it for this week's show. Our theme song is called La Prensa by the Parlandos. Our editor is Tracy Metz. From Amsterdam, this was Bright Minds, the podcast from the John Adams Institute. I'm Jonathan Gruber. Thank you for listening.